me down. I keep it 100, they crunching the numbers, I'm getting wild. Young nigga got a fetish for success. If I ain't next, and I just leave impression. Next to rain, on the window pane, puffy plain Jane. Let them second guess me, wanna cop the Porsche with the pores in the skin. Whip the wheels, let the horses just why they trash to the chore on my list. Out of this orbit, I saw with the pen. I'm eating good, Miss Caloric as shit. I sipped the potion and poured it. I on the tide when she poured it. Opportunity, knock at the door, then I grin. They rush for the doors, then they open like bliss.
What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Wednesday night. You know what time it is. Happy hour with Hendrix. Oh, I hope everybody's doing well. And you know, the first question I'm going to ask you is what you're drinking on, what you're smoking on, and what you're sipping on. Now, for those that are new, you may not understand. But when you're drinking on something and you're sipping on something, it's two totally different things. And then, of course, I always ask you what you're smoking on. But that's how we get down on Happy Hour with Hendrix. So before we get the show started, we're going to say her name, Miss Breonna Taylor. Now, we have been doing this all month, bringing attention to the fact that no one has still been charged in her death. And it's just an injustice the way this lady and her family are being done by the criminal justice system in this country. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but I also need to give you the PSA that viewer and listener discretion is advised. This show is for your entertainment purposes only, right? And we ask that you be at least 21 years or older at minimum. We prefer 25, but minimum of 21, because we might say some things, do some things that children ain't no got. That children do not have any business hearing or seeing. Now, you have to forget a slip up because I was about to say something very raw there at the beginning. But make sure you tune in, you like, you subscribe, you follow us so you can get the notifications of when we go live, because we have a plethora of shows. So on Wednesday nights, of course, you got Happy Hour with Hendrix. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have Stupid is Real with Q, and then on Thursdays we got After Dark. They kind of on hiatus right now. They kind of getting some things together, but that's all good. And then on Saturday mornings at 9:30 Central Standard Time, you have MTG Live with myself, Q, and Mo. Now that we've gotten all of that out the way, gonna get into tonight's show. Thinking about it, right? So tonight's show, and let me give a little background. I was sitting there pondering this weekend because I wasn't feeling too hot. Just got done with a major audit. Your boy was exhausted. And so I really just chilled out this weekend. I mean, I hit up my boy's birthday party only because he asked me directly. He called me. He didn't text me. He was like, bruh, come through, come kick it just for a little bit. And that got me to thinking. I was thinking about it. Now, I thought about this and pondered on this for a little bit before I gave Q tonight's show title. Because one of the things that happened was I was pondering going to this event, right? I was pondering going to this event. Now, normally, if I ponder on it, I think about it too much, I ain't gonna do nothing. I'ma just chill and I ain't gonna go. However, what swayed me into going was the fact that he called me personally and said, bruh, I want you to come through, come kick it for my birthday. So it started the wheels to turning. And I got to thinking about it, and I started processing and looking at life in a slightly different perspective. When I do things and I start thinking about stuff, I always look at myself as an example, right? I try not to project my thoughts, my feelings, the way I view the world. I try not to project that off on anybody else. So I always use myself as a measuring stick to figure out if things are true or not. And one of the things that I came up with is that sometimes we think too damn much. Now, if anybody knows me, I'm a thinker, I'm a planner. I like to have plan A to Z lined out before I make any action. So when I start moving, I can adjust, boom, I can pivot, boom, I can just go and roll with the flow. So people will see me out, they'll see me doing different things, and they be like, oh man, nothing seems to bother you. You just kind of going with the flow. No, not so much. It's been planned out and the process has been thought through thoroughly. So then I'm able to predict any possible variances that may come along. Now, normally, this is a good thing. However, sometimes it can be a bad thing. Now, before we get into the bad part, I'm going to talk about the good part, right? So, the good part about thinking about it, you get to plan out things, you get to lay everything out. It's like you're going on a trip, right? Let's say you're going on vacation for 7 days. You're planning your trip out. You know when your flight is, right? You know when you got to check into the hotel. You got to have your flight numbers, your schedule. And then before you do all that, you got to pack. Then once you get to the airport or however you're going to travel, you got to find parking and remember where you park. Then you got to go on your trip. And then you do all this stuff. And then you get there. And then you have activities that you do. And you see, for me, I have to think about all of that. And I tell you why. Because I got to know what to bring with me so I'm prepared. I'm the kind of person where if I go on vacation, it's a couple of things I like to do. I like to go ziplining. I like to go ride ATVs. I might say, hey, I want to climb a waterfall or I want to go whitewater rafting. I might want to go snorkeling. Whatever the situation is, I got to make sure I'm packed to make sure I enjoy myself to the fullest. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. So you have to pack and plan and plan and pack. And so that way you can enjoy your trip, right? Now, on the other hand, you got things such as when you're at work, you working on a big project. Sometimes you have to start from scratch, see it all the way through to the end. You have to have a plan of action. You have to have a process flow diagram that says, okay, these are how things should go down. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because the way I was raised, you got to have the 5 P's, right? And we've talked about this before. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance, right? Them the 5 P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Piss poor is hyphenated for those of y'all that are counting. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Thinking about it, right? Sometimes it's good to actually think about what you're going to do. Sometimes it's good to have a plan of action. Now, for all the fellas out there that are trying to be like husbands and boyfriends and leaders, if you don't have a plan, who's going to actually follow you, right? You can't be a leader and you don't know what direction you're going. So thinking and planning things out have to be part of being a leader. Now, everybody doesn't do that, right? Now, Q just popped the message up across the screen. We having a virtual reunion for the class of 1997 of Justin F. Kimball High School next month, right? April 20th on 4/20 and the 27th. But that's just coincidence. So if you're interested, make sure you hit us up at 972-904-2398 or email us at mastergas@gmail.com. Now, this is again one of them things where, hey, we planning it out. We letting you know in advance what we planning to do on the 20th and then the 27th of April. Now, the 4/20 thing is just a coincidence. However, anybody that went to school at Kimball, you already know how the K gets down. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But we plan things out, right? You look down the road and see where you want to be, where you're going, what you're trying to do. And if you're a leader, you have to have a plan of action because those that are following you are going to be expecting you to tell them to some extent what they need to do to add value to the team that you're leading. So you got to think about it, right? Some people are good at giving answers off the hip and off the, shooting from the hip and moving on the fly. I'm not that good because I try to look at things from different angles, right? I try to process exactly the situation or the problem I'm dealing with so I can understand it, because it's easy to know what you're feeling. It's easy to know how you're looking at it. It's easy to have everything wrapped up in your head. But have you ever looked at things from a different angle? I play this game called Toy Blast. And it's a game, it's similar to Candy Crush Saga or something like that. It's little matching things like that. You matching stuff to break things and form little bricks and bombs, and it's a good little game. I use it for this simple fact. It teaches me to look at one problem and understand that there are multiple ways to solve it. You might start down one path and then you think, oh, wait, no, I got to go down this one. Or you might start out thinking, hey, this is the best way to solve it. And then as you start working your way through it, it's like, oh, wait, no, I should have did this. But then it's a game. So you have a chance to start over. And the way I look at things is that when I do this, it helps me start seeing situations and problem solving and stop necessarily just looking at the problem. You have to step back and understand what is the cause of the problem. Not only that, what is the impact of the problem? So, what's the cause of the problem and what is impacted by this problem occurring? And when you start breaking it down like that, you understand the whole flow of the situation, right? And understanding the whole flow of the situation helps you understand, okay, well, if the end result is not just to solve the problem, but the end result is to make the whole process better, there's multiple ways to attack this. There's not a silver bullet that's going to say, hey, we fix this one thing or we tweak this one thing and then everything is going to be all right. Now, some situations you'll have that. But in life, at least what life has taught me, that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to break things down and step back, and what you're trying to resolve may not even be a problem. It could be a symptom of something else that's going on. See, sometimes the problem is not necessarily the problem. Sometimes the problem is a result of other things happening. Give you a perfect example, right? You got a person that's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but they live check to check. And you're wondering, you make all this money. What are you doing that you cannot, you can't afford to do anything? What are you doing? You may think, oh, they just got bad spending habits. Oh, they got bad credit. Or they weren't taught financial planning. And it could obviously be any one of those things. But have you ever thought about this? Maybe they were never taught how to manage money and they're too embarrassed to ask. Maybe they have a drug problem. Maybe they're supporting other family members. Maybe they have a bunch of weight on their shoulders or they're trying to get out of debt that they dug themselves into years and years ago. You never know. You got to start asking these questions. And sometimes you got to dig a little deeper to really get to the root cause. And see, this is one of the things where working as an engineer, I always ask the question why at least 5 times. Reason I do that, because again, the problem that arises and the problem that you see may not necessarily be the end all be all. Sometimes there's multiple things that happen to cause the result that you see, that you recognize, hey, this is a problem. Now, why do you ask yourself why at least 5 times, right? Because when you get to that point where you can't figure out, well, I don't know, or I'm not sure, it makes you start digging a little more, makes the wheels start turning just a wee bit more. So you got to get past that surface level and you got to dig down. So when you solve it, and it may not necessarily just be one thing you have to resolve, it may be a multitude of small things that you have to resolve. Don't believe me? Think about it like this. When you see a catastrophic accident, right? Such as a plane crash, right? Or a chemical plant exploding, or there's a there is a major catastrophe that happened. Outside of weather. You have an oil rig go up in fire. Have you ever thought and actually paid attention to the news and figured out that, hey, it wasn't just one thing, it's a bunch of little things that by themselves, usually not that big of a deal. But most catastrophes are a bunch of little bitty problems that stack up, right? These little bitty problems that stack up, and all you need is the right timing, and you have a major catastrophe. These are the things that I like to think about when I plan things out, because for me, it helps me process them. Now, we're going to take a little break here because we 17 minutes in, and your boy only going to give you a good 30 minutes max, because we trying to get our music license and stuff back. So the music took up my time, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to take a little break, and then I'm going to come back and tell you why it's not so good to plan things out all the time. So Q, go and take us to break, and we'll be right back. What's up, y'all? Hey, if y'all are listening on the podcast version, understand this. That little music that's out here, y'all need to go over to YouTube or our Facebook page and make sure you check out the video, because Q been working his butt off on these videos, and hey, the little music that he have in there, I don't know where he be getting it from, but that should be jamming. And so, that's a whole nother topic. But okay, Miss Montgomery says this theory serves truth for students with behavioral problems. Yes, that's another topic that I wasn't gonna get into, Denethia. But yes, students with behavioral problems, that's another thing. It's not always one issue. Now, thinking about it, it can be a good thing. However, on the flip side, sometimes you're thinking about it, you think too long. Now, I remember this old thing we used to say when we was playing dominoes: study long, study wrong. Sometimes you can overthink shit. That's just the reality of it. And again, I'm good at doing that too. Don't believe me? Ask some of the women I've dated. They'll tell you I overthink things. Ask my parents. Why are you thinking about it so much? Just go ahead and act. Sometimes it's good to shoot from the hip. Sometimes it's good to just, do it on the fly. I've never been good at that. One thing I can tell you is that, when you're looking at situations, sometimes it is best to just shoot from the hip and go. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal. And I'm saying all this to let you know that sometimes thinking about it can be good. Sometimes thinking about it can be bad. But the thing that you cannot do is fail to act. See, you should only have so much time you think about a situation. You should only have so much time that you process it. Then you got to start acting, right? Because if you think too long, you study long, you're going to study wrong. right? Don't believe me. Had this guy in college. I was impressed by the fact that he was a senior and had a perfect GPA. Perfect GPA. Now, you might think, oh, well, Hendrix, he was probably studying some bullshit. No, this dude was actually majoring in physics and had a perfect GPA. So I'm looking at him like, dude, what the hell is going on with you? Like, how you do this? Because I never, ever, ever see you with a book. Like, I see you playing ball. I'll see you, you'll be playing frisbee. I'll see you doing all kinds of other activities. But you never, ever have a book. So look what I do. While I'm playing all these sports, my major is physics. I'm doing all these other activities. I'm actually processing the information that I learned in my classes and applying it to real life. So while you may see, oh, he's playing ping pong, or he's playing pool, or he's playing frisbee, or he's playing catch, or he's playing softball, or basketball, volleyball, he's like, no, I'm using what I learned in class and then tweaking it a little bit to make it make sense in my mind. So it's like, whoa, that's amazing. This dude's study habit. He rolled 2 joints the night before a test. 2 joints. He would smoke a joint while he read whatever chapters the test was going to cover. Then, once he got done reading those chapters, he would smoke another joint. Then he would go take a shower and go to bed. He said his process was he would read the books, and as he got high, the information would, for whatever reason, make more sense to him. The second joint was he was processing what he had learned and then using his past experience from recently to apply it to the test. That's how he studied. He found that perfect balance of not thinking about it too much, going and working out all the problems and studying all the time and doing all this. He was involved. He was making moves. He was trying different things out to where it made it make sense. So sometimes studying long, study wrong. It rings true. But this is what I want to tell y'all, right? No matter what you're doing, no matter how it's going for you, think about things, but don't think too long. Because if you drag your feet, the moment will pass you up. The time to shine will pass you up. So with that being said, just going to give y'all a reminder. Hey, you can message us. You can reach out to us. You can email us at our email address at mastergas@gmail.com. Or you can text us at 972-904-2398 and say we have openings for some advertisements or partnerships, because we got a lot of, summertime coming up, and we got activities that's going to be happening that we jumping off at, like the Juneteenth Festival. We're trying to decide if we're going to do the Lupus Walk this year, since we back outside now. But we got a lot of events. And so make sure you check out our webpage. Make sure you check us out on social media. Hey, if you're not following us, make sure you follow and subscribe. But, make sure you do that. So when we go live or we doing something, we're going to hop on. We're going to show y'all some love. So, and we definitely want to see y'all in person too, because it's been a couple of years. So MTG got to be out in the streets this summer. Summer 22, we in these motherfucking streets, baby. But with that being said, y'all, I'm going to get up out of here. But I want to say one thing before I go. Thinking is good. Just don't overdo it. It's just like anything else. You got to do it in moderation. All right? So think about it, but just don't think too long. And with that being said, y'all, I'm going to bid you adieu, wish you a good night, and peace.
Yeah, hands up in the air, they gun me down. I keep it 100, they crunching the numbers, I'm being wild. Young nigga got a fetish for success. If I ain't next, and I just leave pressure. Next to rain, on the window pane, puffy plain Jane. Let them second guess me, wanna cop the Porsche with the porcelain skin. Whip the wheels, let the horses just why they trash, the chore on my list. Out of this orbit, I saw with the pen. I'm eating good, Miss Caloric as shit. I sipped the potion and poured it in. I on the tide when she poured it. Opportunity, knock at the door, then I grip. They rush for the doors, then they open like bliss.